Hello, everybody. So today in this video, we are going to test the free LLMs. I think this is an important video to have because most free models actually fail to execute or run tools. So, most advertised free tiers are just a lie. I mean, they do perform okay when it comes to the chat, but they often fail to follow certain skills, APIs, or run even code. Even for those that can, you're just limited to say 5 agent conversations and you just hit the limit, you know, um, you just hit the limit every time. So you can't really get much going on with it. But nevertheless, we are going to try each of the three LLM models and run it against 6 prompts just to test them and see how things are. First of all, um, let me show you. Let's do Hermes model. This is how we change between the different models, how we sign up. You can add API keys and all that, and or auth different models if you so please. Uh, but for me, I've already created a script that automates the whole thing for us. So if you go Hermes model, you'll see a list of configured models. So I've configured these models in models.yaml. So these are the supposedly free options that we currently have for LLMs. Uh, some are provided through OpenRouter, which most are OpenRouter, and some are direct like the ZAI. Yeah, so this is configured here, and then I have another configuration file. I have the configuration file here. If you take a look, then we'll see that this script right here. So this script is quite simple. The first thing it does is it gets the information off from the models that we set here, the presets and all that, and then just replaces the block model here so that we will, and it patches the configuration file here. So it just replaces the block with the model name that we pass through, and then restarts the Hermes for us. Of course, this might be tedious, but because I'm running different tests right now, I decided to go with this approach. But obviously, um, uh, you can just go Hermes model, and then and then you set the name of the model that you want to test. Or you can go through the whole process that we uh, done earlier, where you list the models and then you pick and choose through the interactive, screen that we've seen the first time. Okay, so this is very simple script that again, this is just for us to test, and then that way I'll be able to just flip by passing the names that we have here, and then it will make things a lot faster for me. That's it. But this is not something you should be doing anyway. So just saying. All right, let's start the testing that we set to do. But before we get into it, okay, so I've showed you the list here. So these are the list of free models. As you can see that we have Elephant here, which is pretty much the recent um, free model, but you should know that this is a stealth, meaning we have no idea who is the lab behind this. So this is the same for Cypher and QSR. But what you should also know that these collect information, so they can um, collect your prompts and use them for training purposes. But yeah, so there is a caveat. So they're not free just because they are free. They are free for a reason. So let's start with elephants. So using my script again, I'm just going to set elephants. Um, so now this sets the default model to elephant. But again, you can do this through the interactive screen. You don't have to, do the same as I'm doing here. I'm doing it just for the sake of this recording, just to make things a lot easier for me. So now let's do the 6 prompts that we set to test. Now we have signals set up already. You can check the previous videos and you can follow along on how we set up a Discord and Signal. And yeah, so we'll issue the first test case here, the first prompt. We will just go, what time is it? Okay, so this is elephant, and we're just asking it the time. There we go. We got an error. Let's see what that error is. Okay, I know what the problem is. This is, as you can see, the message is quite descriptive. So the name has changed from Elephant Alpha to, what do you call it, to Ling 2.6. So I just have to update my scripts to modify the YAML to replace Elephant with Ling 2.6 Flash. So I'll do it really quickly now. Okay, it's done. As you can see, I've removed elephants and just keeping Ling instead. And then we'll run the same command again. We'll activate Ling. So Ling was formerly called elephant, so that's changed already. So now let's go on and ask it what time it is again. All right. So let's see if it does invoke dates. Okay, we got an answer. Clearly, it couldn't perform. And this means that, this actually fails the test. So Ling 2.6 fails a simple test, which is, you know, figuring out the time. And it's not something that requires a special tool, to be honest. It can be ran through Hermes shell, no problems. So if it's ran the shell, it will be able to get the time. So we will not waste time with this one. We'll skip it. This is a fail. Let's go on and change to the next model. All right, let's ask it for the time again. All right, this is a good result. We got the current time. So this is performing better than Elephant. Again, Elephant was just a hype, to be honest. So um, yeah, the next thing we should do is, okay, how about we use Discord instead of Signal? I just want to show you that you can use different, various gateways. So let's try to use Discord for this one. So let's try to call, what's my last unread email? Let's see if we can reply to this one. Okay. Nice. So it got the last email for me. So this one passes the second test. Let it finish, and then we will continue with the rest of the tests. All right, cool. So we have a pretty good, uh, addition on this one. So we knew that it's trying to access the skill, Himalaya, which is, but it was able to detect that this is an email. It's using Himalaya skill. It didn't. Maybe we should tell it to, we should tell it to use the workspace. Um, let's try to ask it to use the Google workspace. So if we do Google workspace, and then what is the last email? Okay, and then let's see if it can. Oh, we should deny this one first so that we will not let it install any. It's trying to install this skill because it's not installed. So we'll just deny this one for now, and then we'll just ask it to use the Google's workspace skill that we currently have installed, and it should be able to read the last email. Nice. What's actually happening here is that, um, so the LLM is okay in detecting that we have an email to work with and that it's supposed to work with Google Workspace. It was able to detect all that. It's read the skill, but the problem is it saw GWS, the Google Workspace CLI, ran the auth directly, but it didn't really check where Hermes stored the tokens. So it kind of acted on its own. It should instead have used the Google API and the stored credentials, uh, basically where Hermes stored them in, /Hermes /Google token.json. And that's how it should have done the steps, but it skipped that section, and it just asked us to reauthorize the whole thing. But if we did that, we'll break the existing setup. So it's a fail. I'll consider this a fail. The skill, what do you call it? The skill reader, but it read the skill, but it wasn't able to follow it. The details on how to actually access the email and all that, where the credentials are stored and everything is in the skill itself. So it read the skill, but it wasn't able to follow. Okay. So I think in this case, we can, I don't know, we can consider this as a fail, partial fail. So to be fair, let's run the third test, which is we'll ask it to read a file and summarize it for us. Okay, so we'll ask it to read our briefing, the one we've done in the last couple of videos, and we'll ask it to summarize it in 3 bullets. Let's see if it can do this. It's reading the file. That's pretty good. Okay, it's able to read the content, summarize it for us. I think that's a very good result. It's an okay result. I would give it that. Like if we are to read the context of the file, let me show you. Let's try to display the context of this file right here and see the content and see if it actually did a good job. Let's go back to the terminal, just play this one here. And you can see this is the briefing. So we got this format, and then we were able to get a summary, which is pretty good. Like I would give it a pass. Now the other test, we'll just ask it to use to check for the weather, and basically a web fetch with uncertain tool reach. We kind of tested this earlier when we asked it to check the email. We didn't explicitly mention which skill to use. This is something similar, which I would think is likely to fail. So we'll ask it for the weather in London right now and see what it will do. So we're not telling it which skill to use. We just need the answer to the weather. So it should be able to figure things out on its own. Earlier, it went for Himalaya. So we'll see. So it navigated the browser. It's performing nicely. I think this is the best model that you can get for free. So I think it performs nicely when it comes to the open world skills, but it kind of struggles with Hermes skills for some reason, like very structured, very specific requirements. It didn't perform well, but let's go on. Let's try to run another test now. Let's run a script and print the first 10 Fibonacci numbers. Okay, it's working on something. Okay, executing code, nicely done. This is nice. Now let's test another important skill. So this would be the last test we ran for this one. So let's try to test its memory. So let's do, okay, remember that my favorite color is blue. Okay. Let's see what it replies back with. Got it. Now I'm gonna ask it, what is my favorite color? Nice. It's a pass. So the GPT auth is pretty decent. Like it only failed when we asked it to use the workspace, the Google workspace skill. Maybe we just have to be very explicit, like use the workspace skill, workspace, Google workspace skill, and follow its instructions one by one or something like that, or avoid coming up with your own approaches, something like that. Maybe that would work. But initially, just to give Ling a fair chance as well, let's try to run it against let's ask it for the weather in London because we only ran one test for it and then we decided it's a failure. But I feel like we should give it a fair shot and run maybe two more tests on Ling and see if it performs okay. Maybe it just failed the first test. All right, let's flip back to it. Ling model done, restarted, and then let's go back and ask it what's the weather in London. Okay, it navigated the browser. It gave us an answer. So this test passed for Ling. Let's do another test. This is an interesting finding. It was able to tell us the weather. So maybe the first test we ran when you asked about the time, maybe we need to test it again. But let's do let's ask it to summarize the briefing that we had and see if it can. Maybe next we'll run the time as well. Oh, it did not bad. It did quite okay. But hold on. There's something fishy here. Maybe it's just reading the context of this conversation. One way to test this, let's try to do this. Let's try to create a new file and then, okay, we'll create a secret alpha dog is mochi, ling rob. Just make sure that, it's not reading off the context of the conversation. Now we know this file has been just created and Ling has no knowledge of it. So let's try to see if it can actually read. So we saved it. What's the path again? Tim, right here, Tim, Ling, Rob. Tell me the dog's name. Let's see. The moment of truth. Okay, it read the file. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Interesting indeed. Well, let's try to rerun the first test again. What time is it now? All right, let's see if it can. Maybe we just had. Oh, this is weird. This is really weird. What if we run the other test again? Maybe we can do the first. Let's do like the first 11 numbers instead, and see if it can give us a proper result for this one. It's really interesting. Oh, okay. So maybe it's just the real-time clock that's not uh, allowed through. This is interesting indeed. Okay, interesting. So maybe it's just trained not to, read real-time clock. Maybe if we ask it to run dates and tell us the time that would work. But let's try this later. Let's try the rest of the test. Like we did the read email. Let's see how it performs compared to GPT's response. So it did actually go to Himalaya. Why it couldn't? Okay, so now it's actually trying to go for Google Workspace. Um, should we like? All right, let's go Google Workspace, and then we'll ask it to read the last email I could retrieve. Well, we asked to use the Google Space skill, didn't we? Okay, so it's able to. Okay, so it was able to pick it up. And so let me just try something again. So we use the skill, and then we apply that argument again. Yep. So it was able to use that skill actually. This is actually flipping our thoughts, our opinion on this. So Ling is actually performing better than GPT, OS, the free tier. Interesting. So one more test, the favorite color. Let's ask it to remember. Black. Okay, let's see. Just to test something out, it should be able to, okay, use the memory. Um, too bad we are hit with the limit. Too bad. Yeah, but I think generally speaking, it's performing way a lot better. Yep, that's it. That's the limit for us with Link. Though it did perform nicely, to be honest, but it just doesn't get as far. I mean, compared to what do you call it, GPT, we were able to, get enough done. I mean, we were able to comfortably finish all the tests, but with this one, we just couldn't. Just to correct myself, like what I meant is the OpenRouter limitation. Like we were able to finish all the tests for GPT OS, but not for what do you call it, Ling. It's not because the limitations are from these two providers, but it's because of the OpenRouter. It just limits our access um, to these models. Like we just have like free, very limited access to these through OpenRouter, and they are not provided for free across other, providers. All right, so that summarizes the video for today. I think it's already a long one, so we'll finish the rest of the tests later. But initially, I think these two performed quite nicely. I mean, the Ling and the GPT 120B OSS. And of course, just a side note, the GPT OSS 120B is actually, what do you call it, an open weight. So you can actually run it locally. But we will be experimenting more on running these models locally in our own machines and then just have them run for free instead of us, like, we just pay the electricity, whatever. But through OpenRouter, we demonstrated that these do perform quite nicely. You're just being hit with the limit, the rate limit. So any OpenRouter model would ultimately, reach the same ultimatum, and you'll be just blocked with the number of free tokens you have on a daily basis. Yeah. All right. So that's it for today. I'll catch you on another video.